We've traversed the tombs of Naxxramas. We've climbed every cliff on Black Rock. Now the world cries out for heroes. As a new evil rises, there will be danger. There will be doom. There will be ancient temples filled with relics, treasures, and traps. Who will answer the call?
We will lead, explorers lead, and we are in need of explorers. Adventure we seek, cross land and sea. Want to come and join us?
Yes!
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the StarSeries. We've got a bunch of games to play today. We're on the group stage D. We've got the first of 2 days. We're going to have a lot more games to play. We just cast StarSeries versus Life Coach. Life Coach took it 3-0 against StarSeries lineup. We still don't know what StarSeries Mage was supposed to be targeting, as we'll maybe see him play that later against Hot Foam. But for now, we've got Dog versus Cipher coming up.
Yeah, Dog versus Cipher coming up, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Cipher too.
Sure.
The fact that he lost 0-3 is not that bad when you consider that he only showed one of his decks.
That's right. He does have the edge as far as information goes. Of course, he would have rather given his opponent, a loss as opposed to right, which is a little unfortunate. But at least he didn't go something like 3-2, right? Which is sometimes a little bit more crushing because you still don't get the win, but you still end up giving away a lot more information about your decks. So Dog here bringing Druid, Paladin, and Rogue versus Druid, Paladin, and Mage for Cipher.
Rogue. I'm really surprised by Rogue. I really hope it's Mill Rogue. Would love to see that in tournaments. And I know that one of the French players, Proto, was playing it in the DreamHack Winter Swiss portion of the tournament, and he was actually 6-3. Now, I have no idea what was the exact win rate of the Mill Rogue deck, but I hope it will make some appearance soon in the tournament. It's one of the most fun decks to play, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool deck that got improved by the addition of Bran Bronzebeard. I think Bran has made no deck better than, Rogue got better. Mill Rogue specifically, not every single Rogue deck, just specifically Mill Rogue got a huge buff from Bran. Bran is a really good fit in Warlock, but that's kind of obvious. It just makes them even more powerful than they already were. But the amount of value you can get out of it in Mill is actually astonishing. I don't know that Dog will bring this, it's really, really good when the metagame is somewhat slow. So if he expects, Freeze Mage, if he expects something of a control Paladin... Right, like Warlocks as well, like the Reno type, you just flood them with cards and they lose
burn
sometimes.
the Reno.
Yeah, and then you win.
Yeah, or they don't burn the arena and then you lose.
Well, you can still win, because you can still, even if they can heal for 30, you still end up getting
when you heal for
advantage
30, then you're probably dead the turn before, but...
Right.
Let's go to the game. Cipher is starting off with a Tempo Mage, and He has a really good opening hand, even though... he got a second fireball right back. Even though he has the Mana Worm into Flame Cannon, which is usually a really good opener almost against every single deck apart from Paladin.
Right, because Mini Blot will counter it very easily, and there's very few... unless there's a juggler that's being played, but no one is usually suicidal enough to throw a juggler as a sacrificial lamb for removal. Dog may consider it, but again, if Unstable Portal is there, you run into a free trade, you lose the coin, so it'll depend on what he thinks is worth it. Does he want to get the Frostbolts out of the way? Does he want to avoid his opponent playing, Sorcerer's Apprentice right here, which happens quite often? But now, Cipher's got a really good use for Flame Cannon.
I guess Dog was pushed to use the Knife Juggler here. Otherwise, if you don't play anything and you have to rely on him to much of a battle, it's so difficult to deal with that Mana Worm in general, right? So, especially when your opponent just develops the board by additional 2-drop, you have no way of getting like some kind of tempo back against this Tempo Mage, because that's what he thrives on, right? If you just skip a turn, your opponent laughs at you because
I thought it was kind of okay because you go coin muster and then 1 or 2 turns down the line you still get a decent consecration. It really depends on what Dog thinks Cipher is going to be holding, and at that point he was trying to force him to have removal, which he did. Now Dog, however, is going to be a little sad to see the Arcane Shot in the future, but with Reincarnate, things could get pretty funny. Like I've seen Reincarnate do a lot of work in very awkward situations. Something as boring as getting a Belcher back, getting a Tyrion Ashbringer set up one turn ahead of time, getting in this case a Sky Golem giving you a free 4-drop.
Well, the Sky Golem is still so far away. It's like you can't really play around. Then around turn 6 now. What you have to get in your mind is how do I deal with current state of the board, and you still have to take into account that your opponent will develop the board even further. So the Consecration, as good as it seems to be, it's still very weak to the high health minions that the opponent has. Oh wow, Shield Slam. It actually works with spell power, right? So it's not that bad, but it could have been better.
Yeah, I mean, you could always use it with Flame Waker, worst case scenario. In this case here, Cipher is going to try to push as much damage in, remove as much tempo that is off the board as he can. Like, what's interesting here is that by making this play, I'm still trying to figure out what he was playing around, because right now Dog's Consecration is a full board clear, right?
Yes.
Like, killing that extra 1/1 was, it just felt a little, I want to push for damage with my Mana Worm.
It's really weird because I was thinking about Mad Scientist just in pink to make the board more resilient, and even though it might be a Consecration, the Consecration bring you some value with the Mad Scientist on board, right? So
right.
Really interesting. It's very risky, but I feel like when you're so much ahead, it doesn't make any sense to be put into a situation when you don't have board control after the Consecration, right?
We'll see though what Cipher ends up with, because there may have been an argument to be made that is, for using the Arcane Shot to fail. Oh goodness, that burn. That's a lot of damage.
And if that creature is not being dealt with instantly, that's 11-15 damage next turn.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dog is gonna have to try to Forgotten Torch this, I feel, right? Like you deal 3 damage to it, you attack, and then you hero power? Like, is that as good as you're gonna get it?
2 of being dead with the Frostbolt Fireball, but of course you can't know that. So the other option is to Keeper of Ulduman, the minion, and play Zombie Chow. But he might keep the Zombie Chow for the Mirror Entity.
And then reincarnate that Zombie Chow, get himself an extra 5 health, where the reincarnate becomes, self-heal for 5.
It's not a bad plan, but I feel like he might just go for the Keeper of Ulduman here. And
do you ever see a world where you go for Muster? Like, it just Muster hero power and then
it's so weak against Temple Mage in general. Especially when it's 6 mana and you can just Flame Waker with whatever, and probably wreck your entire board. And this is the turn when Cipher just plays Burn, Fireball, and Pink. Face.
What can Dog even do? I mean, I think you might consider even Frostbolt to prevent the heal from True Silver.
So maybe what about Frostbolt Mad Scientist Pink?
I wonder.
You deny yourself 1 damage next turn with additional Pink, but you bring out Mad Scientist, and you know that your opponent played the Zombie Chow, so there's most likely there's no second one. So but no, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you have to dodge what? Healbot and Tuskar Jouster at this point, right? Like, what Cypher's trying to dodge here is any Battlecry that heals. That's about it at this point.
I would still favor the most aggressive play, which increases the damage output, because you just play to win. Oh my god, what?
What? Well, maybe Cypher's got another game plan, but I can't figure out.
I don't know in what word this would be.
Oh, reincarnate on the Scientist with a Zombie Chow, but it's unfortunately not enough to heal up. Dog is gonna try to play the Sky Golem, but it's not gonna be enough.
I wouldn't blame him if he sees that Frostbolt, right?
He thinks there's no more burn, but Cipher, was that a mind game from Cipher? I'm actually really surprised right now. Cipher's got the lethal, and he decided to use the Frostbolt to kill the Zombie Chow. So I'm trying to figure out what Cipher was planning around. Was he maybe incentivizing Dog not to use any heals? What was the trick there?
I don't
know,
man. I mean,
but he got the win.
If your opponent has heal, he might actually play it anyway. Because when you think about it, the Paladin Sky Golem, of course it trades for every single creature that your opponent plays, but Healbot is not far away from that too. It's 3 damage. The biggest minion in Temple Mages have, apart of course from Dr. Boom, have like 4. Because it's Azure
so they can
Drakes.
still deal with it, yeah.
And there's maybe low tap, but you can deal with those creatures. And if you just want to run away with from the lethal range, you play that heal anyway. So I have no idea what was the plan behind that Frostbolt, because in almost every single situation I was
It
just
looked like
favoring
mind games to me. Yeah, sure, but it looked like mind games to me. I think Cipher had a plan and he just executed it. Now, what's interesting here is he's playing Secret Paladin, which again is a deck that really didn't change too much with the new expansion. In fact, however, it's still one of the top decks out there. It's one of the scariest ones to play against when you're not playing on curve, and whoever gets the initiative usually gets away with it. Dog is playing a mid-range deck, which usually is supposed to have the edge, but in this case, with a hand like this, I'm not too sure about that.
well.
Mini bot coin avenge, or do you play the juggler coin avenge?
I think you should go for the juggler. Juggler coin avenge seems like the best option here. Or you just play juggler, trade, and don't play avenge at all.
Right, and you just keep your coin for that turn 5 or turn 4 shredder.
Exactly.
Turn 3
Just
shredder, sorry.
Turn 3. I think like you keep the coin for the Master's Challenge on turn 5. What you just do next turn is just mini bot and avenge. And that's basically it. Your opponent.
But what about muster? Wouldn't you be worried about muster here? I mean, granted, it's not the biggest deal, but it kills the 1/1, you don't get anything out of it, and then you're kind of locked out of the board. But he's going to loot the juggler without any upside to it. However, he still has the ability to shield Minibot Avenge and follow it up, possibly with, a top deck that's going to give him even more damage output.
Well, now Dog is in a position when he can't really attack into the Secret Keeper, because he
has to, though.
You feel like so? Because I would probably just attack face to see if it's Noble Sacrifice, and that's it.
Yeah, what about Kings? I guess I'd rather concentrate all the buffs on one minion at that stage.
But you're adding so much damage, and you're proccing. Basically, you did nothing to that board. You added 1 attack to the board, and you still had to focus on that mini board when actually it was the target anyway, right? In this situation, it feels like
What do you do here if you're Cipher? See, this is the turn where I think
maybe
this is kind of the tougher turn he's got this time around, right? This is probably the toughest turn he's going to get all game. Like, what do? You just pop the juggler, pop the shield, and force the Paladin to trade? Because right now, Dog's getting a good blessing of Kings. It doesn't look like much, but it lives. The little mini-bot lives and forces Cipher to have a muster or something along those lines. And he doesn't have to attack into that mini-bot again. Cipher was hoping the Dog would have to use his weapon twice to take a total of 10 from the mini-bot.
And now he's pushed to use something to kill that mini-bot, because otherwise the Mrs. Challenger is not that great on this board. So maybe...
I mean, you do trigger Noble Sack, and then the Avenge triggers on the Challenger, right?
But
which means it's out of range. Aldor, BGH. I mean, you're worried about everything here if you're Cipher, right?
3 secrets only, so he plays 1 competitive spirit in his deck, and no repentance.
Yeah. Well, it's the full roster of the trinity of secrets, the ones that you always expect. So Noble Sack triggers, and then the little Noble Sack guy will be redeemed. But Avenge, I think, is going to trigger first, so that means that we get a 9/8 on the board, which unfortunately for Dog, he's not going to be able to kill immediately, unless the juggler goes exactly where it has to. Actually, it could go either way. Both of these outcomes are actually okay, as long as it doesn't go face. And the trade.
It trades.
Ouch. Cipher right now is not liking life.
Nope.
Uh-oh.
He's not liking life, even though he had a turn 5 Mrs. Challenger. Look at that. How the tables have turned. Well done,
Reporting for duty.
I mean, it tends to go that way, that mid-range gets the edge. The thing is, Dog's start was abysmally bad, right? Like, Dog's beginning of the game seemed like it was awful. And everything that changed when Cipher opted not to coin out the Avenge, right?
Yes.
Because what happened there is that the Juggler died and then nothing happened. And he was, Cipher was stuck with a 1/1 that did nothing. Instead of being buffed to, say, a 4/3 immediately, it would have actually been a 5/4. because it would have been buffed from the Avenge immediately.
That's a good point.
All right, we'll see exactly how the game transpires. It's not over yet. Cipher does have the Dr. Boom, and there's no answer, immediately from Dog besides his own Dr. Boom. And we've seen what knives do, right? Like if they mess up here.
Well, those were the worst knives possible.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm talking about, right? Like it's kind of okay because at least it doesn't pop the creeper to buff it with competitive spirit, but you're not in a position where you like any of this. Huh.
Hunted creeper into knife juggler. 2/2 into bomb.
Kill bombs.
I think you should
watch the
take
ping
care of the
pong.
bomb.
Because of equality, perhaps. I don't know. It's actually really tough to say. I feel like right now Cipher may just want to push damage. It's really tough to say. How do you feel about keeping the creeper alive? And just attacking the bombs with it. Yeah, exactly. 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 damage on Cipher.
But that the hunted creeper is first on board, so the bomb popping the hunted creeper makes the order will be as hunted creeper will be popping first, then the bomb will go off after the 2 spiders will hit on the board. So there will be more targets for the bomb to hit after it will get killed.
Right.
But it still allows Dog to clear on this board if he wants to do that.
So, like, does Dog just want to go for the consecration play? The thing with that consecration play is that it's horrible at gaining any tempo. So, do you just maybe make a small trade, then go Hero Power, Sky Golem, perhaps? Trade a big Dr. Boom, and let 4 damage sit there.
And the bombs have so much value right now.
Uh-oh.
That's a
I like it. It's alright. And he takes 4, right? Ouch.
Yes.
8 damage for Cipher. He would be dead to True Silver Kings, but we know that's not there. However, there's the Keeper of Uldamon, which adds another 2 damage to this board. That feels scary.
Don't you favor the Belcher though?
I feel like to protect my board, it would probably be worth a lot more.
I think like Belchering and just God.
Wow.
But this is a position when I think like Cipher shouldn't trade at all.
Yeah, I think in his position, I think I might have considered just going face, but at this point, he got himself a really good 4-drop out of that Sky Golem. It could have been a lot worse for Cipher if it had had 5 attack. But again, equality.
Well, the equality helps here if you really want to use the consecration, but then your Gomog dies after that to the 1/2 slimes. It doesn't really make that much sense. So the only thing you can do here is
What about equality? Trade Gormog, then Hero Power Quartermaster versus a 1/2 and a 1/1.
Yeah.
Is losing equality ever worth it though? Right? Like that's. I think the equality might be worth a lot more.
Well, if he plants the minions first on the board, then of course there will be no equality. He just passes the turn. Which I feel is like okay, because you're facing a Paladin, the maximum burst he can do to you next turn is actually 4, because there was no consecration. And he did use the top decked card last turn.
Alright, Cypher's thinking, do I want to push for 4? Do I want to push for 2 more here and just put him on 4 so that I can top deck True Silver and win? I think that's a pretty easy call to make. And the Belcher coming back if Redemption triggers is going to give him even more of a reason to go for that play.
Yep.
What does Dog do here?
Seems like...
Do you have to pop the Belcher first? Like, just check for Redemption no matter what? Or do you consec first and trigger the 1/1?
You should kill first the Belcher, in my opinion, because if there's an Avenge or if there's a Redemption, then the equality is much more valuable. And you also
have seen Avenges,
minions,
though, right? You've seen them both.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
there was
right.
One early game, and then.
Okay, so he.
there is a Redemption left.
But it's still better for him because he knows that his minions will be on 1 or 2 HP. On 1 HP after the equality anyway. And in this situation, he can clear the board entirely.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, Cipher is going to be forced to top deck True Server Champion, which, by the way, he still has 2 in his deck, so it's not it's far from impossible.
Yep.
It's not like he's lost the game yet. It looks like he's in a rough spot, and he is, granted, but he's still a few turns away from dying immediately. Dog is not staring down any kind of lethal next
Even a
turn.
Merciful
Cypher's got
Battle.
it. Exactly. Cypher's calling the well played. I'm not sure why.
Oh, look at
Merciful
that.
Battle
Merciful
right there.
And
Goodness.
this is a really good draw because it allows you to deal the needed damage that was stacked during the upcoming 2 turns, so you can top deck a second Consecration and maybe deal damage. So that gives you an additional out, even though you might just get Truce of a Champion and just win outright next turn. And this
Right.
damage should go face.
It's interesting because you have to go face, but the thing is, like, the only thing that makes you win more if you go face is the Consecration. If you kill these things, Dog may have the second Consecration, which puts you out of the game, but if he doesn't, then you're adding Blessing of Kings to the roster of things that make you win. So it's a very touchy situation for Cipher, but I think going face is ultimately the much better outcome. Like,
If you
overall, as
don't-
far as outs go.
If you want to kill a creature, then you have to kill a creature that is 1/1 because that's playing around Quartermaster. But it looks so weird, right? You play around
Yeah.
the second Quartermaster when you're adding another out to your deck. So I feel like
It
adding
balances
the-
out.
adding that another out to your deck should be more important than playing around Quartermaster, which doesn't win you the game. If he has a Quartermaster, it's still not out of the game, and you're 1 damage of killing his opponent, right?
Alright, so Cipher here is forcing Dog to make trades when Dog doesn't want to, and now Dog knows that he's 1 damage off being dead. Blessing of Kings is added to the roster of wins. That's not it, however, and I think Dog is going to be able to stabilize after this, at least possibly.
Well, he will be on 1
Stabilize.
damage, right?
Yeah, I mean, that Shield Minibot is still not...
Light's Justice just killing him next turn. That's the problem.
Yeah, he has to find a top deck that just, like, taunts or heals right away.
And that's not it.
That's not it. Yeah, there's only 9 for Dog on the board, and he concedes. Cipher goes up 2-0 over Dog, and Dog, brings up the eyebrows in
So-
I got killed by Secret Valley.
Maybe actually, let's revise because maybe actually I was wrong about the trade with the Light's Justice the turn when he was playing the Massive Battle, and I'd really like to analyze those situations. Let's
Sure.
assume he wasn't trading and he just went 1 damage to the face, right? Then you still have 3 creatures. Your opponent has 3 creatures. He plays the Quartermaster, buffs 2 of his recruits. 1 is being new, so he trades with 3 minions. There are no minions left, but your opponent is left with a 3/2 and a 3/3 and a 2/5, and you're still 2 damage off. So he wouldn't be able to push for so much damage next turn. So he would still be off by 1 damage 1 turn later than this turn.
Right. And it's also bad because, there's Belcher, there's Defensive Argus, you saw 1, there's the Tyrion, there's Lay on Hands. There's a lot of outs possibly in that Paladin deck that you want to dodge. Cipher now is going to be playing his aggro Druid list against Dog's mid-range Paladin. He's throwing the Paladin again and again until it gets a win. This is usually a pretty good matchup if you've got the Aldor when the Fel Reaver comes out.
Yeah,
Usually,
that's true.
at least.
And now this is the turn when Cipher just goes face with damage, and that's it.
Yeah.
And he hopes there will be no Knife Juggler into some good juggles from the Haunted Creeper Sacrificium.
Yeah, the Cipher is also drawing pretty blankly on this exact turn. Sure, he's got a bit more damage, and that's what he's looking for, but right now, he's curving, just not yet. And he's going to have to address the minions that are on the board, but he knows that Dog can start taking them away. If there is a Cog Hammer, everything's going to go downhill, but he's got to hope that's not there.
But he has a good curve with Savage Competent into Fel Reaver. And we know that Fel Reaver is very risky against Paladin, but if you don't play Fel Reaver on turn 5, then I feel like the deck has lost a lot of its potential.
Right, because you're giving your opponent the ability to top deck even more answers, and by doing so, you're basically giving them time, which you can't.
Yes.
Now, Cipher is going to try to play the Savage Combatant probably just to hope that his opponent at least has to trade away the entire board before turn 5 and Quartermaster. But Dog is going to be able to maintain some of those minions if he wants by using the Defensive Argus, maybe just play Shredder, trade everything away, pick one.
I feel like you should sacrifice all of your minions, right?
It's tough to call. I mean, I could see him just use Defensive Argus and, you know, make a trade with the 1/1s, and then trade one of the 2/2s away. Yeah, there we go. So he keeps, he doesn't take phase damage for 1, which, you know, is pretty obvious. And he also makes sure that he might have a Quartermaster 5, he's going to get a 4/4 with Taunt out of it.
Every single taunt against aggro Druid makes a huge difference. Usually you will have to use a Keeper of the Grove to just go through that, and if there's nothing like that, you would have to sacrifice the phase damage that you would usually do. Usually use just to finish off the game. So every single taunt is very important in this matchup, even though they might be very slow in general.
Yeah, so this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? The Fel Reaver not being played or playable on 5 is he's so worried about Aldor that he doesn't want to attack here, and he's also worried that behind this 2/2, a Belcher comes out. So now there's not 1 taunt but 2 taunts, and he not only doesn't deal damage with the 8/8, but he also gets, you know, roadblocked by 3 to 4 minions back to back. So he makes the call of playing Lotheb, which baits out the Aldor in this case, and it's gonna work out for him here.
Yeah, and he has the access to swipe, which will clear the Knife Juggler and the taunt. I guess that will be the turn.
Yeah, you could swipe the 3/3
Peacekeeper.
even in hero power. Yeah, I like that a lot.
No, I mean, use swipe on the 3/3 on the Peacekeeper, then you use hero power on the 2/2, and then trade with the Lotheb into the 3/2, or just use the other way around.
Lotheb, yeah, sure.
So Lotheb is on the 1/3 stats, and it doesn't get traded instantly with the Defensive Argus.
Yeah, no, this is probably the play that Cipher has to make here. But right now, Dog, if he picks up, you know, anything that's 5, you know, anything under, well, that's not quite what he's looking for, unfortunately. Like, I was going to say, any minion that he can play here to put pressure on Cipher is going to give Cipher trouble, because Cipher feels like he's getting pretty low on health. And he has to get that Fel Reaver out as soon as possible. But he can't protect it, and that's what he's not happy about.
Yep.
That's damage. That is damage.
It is damage, but he's getting slashed every single turn with a lot of damage from Dog. It's
Do you see Fel Reaver hero power and kill the 2/1? What do you feel? What do you feel about the Fel Reaver and kill the 2/1 Argus? That way, that's very clunky for Dog to deal with this. He needs Kings, he needs True Silver, another Aldor, a Cog Hammer that roadblocks you. He needs something very specific. Consecration can't do it now.
I feel like in this matchup, if you just go aggressively, that's the way you usually want to deal with this Paladin. If he stops you in the track with the Defensive Argus and Cog Hammer, then you don't have a way to win anyway. Because the Cog Hammer just soaks so much damage if you don't have the combo, of course. So if you don't race, you ultimately give your opponent more time to get those answers, and that makes the matchup even more awful.
So he's got 4, 10, he's got 16, 17 damage. He's a little shy off lethal. Just a little bit. He's 1 off lethal right there.
That's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's maybe the 1 damage that Argus took, right? You were talking about that a second ago about, you know, maybe not starting to trade and whatnot. This is pretty much the damage that he was looking to get. Maybe weaving in that Lepronome earlier could have made a difference, but I can't think of a turn where that really would have been an amazing play necessarily. So you have to kill Dr. Boom, I think, right?
Well, this situation, you're dead if you don't, right?
Exactly. You make the trade, and then you hope that enough minions are on the board. I mean, you could still top deck Force of Nature if you live.
I'm just really... I can't watch
respecting that quartermaster, man. He respects that quartermaster a lot.
Oh my god! Like, this is the matchup when you probably should go face with almost everything, and you should just go aggressive to Fel Reaver on 5. And I know there was a Peacekeeper, but in most situations, playing it just on 5 wins you the game. When playing it later on, makes you survive the turn. Like that situation.
Well, perfect outcome for Dog there. That should probably help him seal the game, if anything.
Well, there's this
even
Tyrion, right? So what can you do?
Right, even Keeper of the Grove doesn't do it. I mean, you silence it off, great for
Wait.
you, but you're
He's
still
one damage off. Dog is 1 damage off, so if there would be no Consecration or Cockhammer,
Sure.
he would have an option to kill his opponent if a Force of Nature would have been played next turn, because he has the Innervate for the hero power.
Right, I mean, Cipher is making the correct play.
Yes.
This is, I mean, obviously the play you have to make no matter what. But it's just unfortunate that he couldn't find that lethal. Everything kind of went poorly after Dog started establishing minions. That Haunted Creeper early for Dog was actually it was pestering Cipher's early game a lot.
We also have to remember that Cipher didn't have a free drop. Or even a 1-drop.
Yeah, he actually missed on pretty much almost every street besides the very early ones. I don't know. It was,
if you would clear out Untin 3 with a 1-drop, an example, even, let's say it would be a 1-1 minion, would actually win him the game. Because the trade with the Haunted Creeper minion would have been used on something else than clearing with the Savage Combatant, and that would add more than 1 damage that was needed to win the game.
Right, he was one off at the very end. And what's interesting is the way the Dog used the defend of Argus, right? Like we were talking about that. Trade everything away, maybe play something immediately, or do you try to keep one of those taunts alive? And he did keep a single 2/2, which was enough to stop Cipher from going ramp, like just playing a Fairy Reaver right away and maybe getting damage in that way. So I think overall Dog played this magnificently. We will see Rogue versus the Aggro Druid. Which one do you think is favored?
This is a matchup that I didn't really practice a lot. Even though I played some of the Aggro Druid on ladder, and I still didn't get any kind of matchups against Rogue, I feel the aggressive Druid has the edge here. As much as Dog has a lot of removal, the problem is he has no way of stopping a combo apart from low tap, or even just attacking Druid with the claw to the face. How can you stop that? You have no taunts. So the only way you can deal with those creatures is just you deal with them after the attack. So any kind of charge creature is very valuable against the Rogue.
One of the things here to mention as well is that Dog is not playing any kind of funky Raptor deck. We see the Sap, we see the Tinkers, Sharpsword Oil. Usually those decks tend to play a lot more minions and a lot less tempo-based cards than maybe combo cards like this one.
Yeah. And he has backstab.
I love Dog's move, by the way, the Coin Dagger, because he still gets a turn 3 SI and he gets to redagger. Despite the fact that he doesn't combo it, he still gets the minion out.
Exactly, and now he's able, even if there would be like an Innervate for a bigger minion, he would have been able to clear it with the backstab and agent.
Yeah, that's a pretty lucky top deck into a second backstab, but either way, I think Dog made a very good move on his turn 1. Coin Dagger is not something you see very often, but there's matchups where you kind of have to just go for it.
Well, it was one of the main plays when you, back in the day when the Miracle Rogue was on top of the food chain, and that's how we were dealing with Hunters, an example, because you needed to kill those Leprechaun as soon as possible. If you didn't have Coin Fan of Knives, then let's say Shiv, then the poison daggers were the answer on turn 1. That was usually seen. Now it's kind of sad.
You kind of had to, actually, yeah.
It's kind of sad to see for Dog, but I think he has to use the sap.
I mean, he might go for the Valid Teacher and play it a bit slower, because if Cipher opts to use, play a minion here, it has to try to contest the Teacher, and that's pretty difficult to do. It's just the extra phase damage he took right now. That is, I mean, that usually takes the game, right? Like that extra 5 damage, that's usually what... The fact that Dog is at 17, with a Loatheb he can't kill, is basically him saying, okay, I'm guaranteed to go down to 12, which is combo range, and then it's just a matter of time before I get blown out of the game.
It's not even combo range, just use whatever minions that has charge and your heal power, and you just whittle that down, consistently every single turn. And that was the combo, and this is the turn when Cipher should just use Druid of the Claw and charge your opponent's face.
Yeah, it's not a call
That's 9 damage, which set up your opponent at 8, and you kill him on turn 8, basically.
So you only lose if there's something like Loatheb prep and some crazy, like he actually kills your Lotheb. Like, he plays his own Lotheb. He preps, like say an eviscerate to kill your Lotheb, and then you can't, push with your spells, and then he gets a crazy Tinker's Sharpsword Oil on turn 7.
Yes, but if you trade, you have almost no way
I agree.
of racing from that point.
Yes.
Because Rogue with a single prep will just outrace you so heavily if you will not be in range of the combo. Like, if there will be no lethal before to none. That's the problem.
Right. Wow. I mean, right now, Cipher's playing a trading game. He's going partially face, partially trade. He's giving his opponent the ability to maybe get a pretty good and clean, Fan of Knives. And right now, Dog has the opportunity, if he wants, to use something like a...
That's just a double eviscerate.
Yeah, looks
double
pretty clean
eviscerate, and you set up...
Redagger.
So your opponent is in a position when he has to wait for turn 9 to kill him. When Dog might develop the
Deadly Tinkers is dangerous,
on
man.
next turn, and this will stack up damage so much.
Is there a world in which you sap Lotheb, play Shredder, and trade with the Drake? Probably not. Now, there's no world in which you do that. Probably just redaggering is worth a lot in this case. It doesn't look like much necessarily, but it really matters a lot.
I think it's the best option because you have 2 Blade Spirits in the deck, I would guess, because they are super playable in current metagame. So 2 Blade Spirits should be in the deck as just to make it more consistent Blade Spirits and more burst damage in general.
Yeah, I mean, Dog gets 5 damage here, and next turn he's got the ability to make his dagger go up to 6 attack. The Drake will be up to 7. He's got 13 and possibly 20. He's still a bit shy of lethal, and he's gonna have to address the board when he sees exactly what's coming out. But if he finds a way to AoE, he's still in an okay spot. Yeah. It's getting close. It's getting really close. That sap could come out as well. Lotheb. Goodness. Whoa. This is exactly what Dog's looking for. Gets the Lotheb, gets the sap, makes a trade. Right? You could do that.
Yep.
Or Deadly, and then...
So Deadly...
Oh, man. He's being aggressive. He's like, yeah, you can't combo me on 8 anyway, right? I don't really care about this.
And this is a great move. This is what I talked about. Like, the Rogue can now take the initiative back.
Yeah, Dog's just pushing forward. This is it. Cipher has to find, Druid of the Claw with Charge. Savage Roar. Is that it? That's going to be 8, 9. That's it, I think.
No. Wait. 4, 8. Both Savage Roars
lethal.
are 4. That's 4, 8, 9. Yeah, that's exactly 11.
That's exactly lethal for Cipher. Innervates and second Savage Roar were lethal. Maybe the, what's his name? The little guy, the Druid of the Saber. But it wasn't lethal, I think, because it was going to give you 2 damage.
Was adding
4 damage with Savage Roar, but not 8. Goodness.
Wow. Now let's see if Cipher actually sees that.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, he sees it. He sees it.
It's written in stone, right in front of you. Kill that rogue.
6 damage. Leper Gnome.
Exact lethal here for Cipher. I mean, Dog is thinking to himself, oh, I guess I should have killed that Leper Gnome.
No, that was the correct.
I agree with you, but it was funny to think that he could have gone Lotheb and then sap trade and set up an even bigger damage burst if you top deck properly. Where it's like, I'm only dead to like Innervate combo or double roar.
Yeah.
So I should be fine, right? Until he's not fine anymore. Double Druid of the Claw as well, the second one would have probably done it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really play around those type of combos when your opponent is relying on a double of something, because usually it's not something that that you will see in your opponent's hand, and that just happened for the Dog. So kind of feel for him. He played really well. I have to say, like, he played really well. I liked almost all of his decisions when Cipher was playing with his aggressive decks very conservatively.
Right. We'll see. However, we'll see more Dog and Cipher later today. We've got another match with them. Cipher is going to be facing off against Hot Form. Life Coach is going to be facing off against Dog. So Dog still has, the chance to get a win today. Speaking of Hot Form, he's going to be going up against Stan Cifka up next, which we saw earlier got 3-0'd by Life Coach. So Stan Cifka is going to want that win, if only for the momentum regain, especially when the group It's just the beginning, but he's already on his second match. And there's a total of 4 waiting for him. So if he loses this, he's already half his matches down. And if 2 people make it 3-1, then there's no way you can get to the second phase as a 2-2 player.
Yep. And we're going to the break now.
Yeah, we are. So we'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned, I guess. That's it. Don't move.